The Ed Davey launches the Lib Dem election campaign with no ceilings on ambitions. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline of Ed Davey launches his Lib Dem election campaign with no ceiling on ambitions. The leader says the party is receiving its best response from voters for a generation as unveils a Yellow Hammer 1 battle bus. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share across social media so others are notified of this video. So, of course, obviously, there's all the talk about the Conservatives and Labour and how their battle campaigns are going to do in this general election. And obviously, all eyes are going to be on how the SNP's campaign will be up in Scotland and those parties within Northern Ireland and Wales, respectively, as well as how some of the parties will do in those areas, respectively. But obviously, the Liberal Democrats, this is actually a very good opportunity for the Lib Dems to really gain some ground. And there is absolutely no question that many of the blue wall, so-called blue wall in the south and southeast of England, are definitely vulnerable to the Lib Dems. They are definitely more vulnerable to the Liberal Democrats than they are to Labour. And I think this is we've spoken about this in the past about how this is a big opportunity for them. Now, one of the things that, in my opinion, has kind of hold back the Liberal Democrats are a number of things. So first and foremost is many people have not forgotten the broken promises that they made when they got into power at 2010. That's a scar still on the party. The promises that they made when they went into power, getting in bed with the Conservatives, really did hurt them, and they have turned a lot. They have changed a lot since then. I think some of them have learned from that, but I still think that voters have not completely forgotten that, especially those who have been really loyal to the Lib Dems, who have been there for a long time. It's easy for some people to forget these things, but there will be voters out there who have not forgotten those broken promises back in 2010. So obviously that will be one of the first challenges for the Liberal Democrats. The second challenge for me is the Liberal Democrats is they've not really kind of been clear about how they've been clear enough, in my opinion, about Brexit. Now, before 2019, obviously, they were very much on the stance of, of staying within the EU because they are the most one of the biggest European political parties. They've always been that way. And the fact that they've not outright said anything about wanting to rejoin the single market, rejoin the customs union, to make those, to want to have the ambition like the rejoin EU campaign, I think there's a big gap, because we know where the Conservatives and Labour lie. But there is a gap there, an opportunity to gain a lot of voters, especially with younger voters, to bring into the Lib Dems. And I think they've missed a shot here to gain a lot of future, could be potential members, potential volunteers, potential voters for the future by not setting that mark. Now, it's entirely possible that their position may change by the time this video comes out, because politicians, they can sometimes change their positions and whatnot. So it's entirely possible that position can change. But I think the fact that they've not been very clear on that, especially from the leader, doesn't really help them. It doesn't help them either. And I think that's something that some people will obviously have a problem with, because there are many people who generally just will not cast their votes for certain parties because they have no intentions of wanting to rejoin the EU, rejoin the single market, that kind of thing. The whole Brexit debate will never go away. It's not going to be the centre of topic, but it will be playing a factor into topics of discussion at the general election. But it's not going to be the main topic, obviously. There are bigger priorities, but it will be something that will be brought up among some voters. And I think Lib Dems need to be a lot clearer about their position when it comes to that. And I think the fact that they're kind of avoiding that kind of thing It's not going to go. Understandably, though, one of the things that the policies that they have been very clear on is obviously about healthcare. And obviously, Ed Davey, someone who has family who relies on the NHS and the work that the healthcare does, it really does have. There's a personal connection there. It's not just a case of them barking about healthcare. There's a personal connection with the leader there who knows how important it is and understands it. And I think this will obviously play a huge role in taking a lot of voters away from the Conservatives. The last 14 years, obviously, we've had the National Healthcare Service run down, lots of austerity, and of course, a lot of incorporation of privatisation. So this is somewhere where the Lib Dems can definitely win arguments on. They can't, in my opinion, win arguments when it comes to the economy. I don't think they're going to be able to do much on that. But healthcare is something they've been really pushing as a party. And I think definitely that's something that can play a factor into this. Now, Now, there is obviously a lot of talk as well because of how bad the Conservatives have also been. And there is also this possibility that people have been talking that the Lib Dems could end up becoming the second largest party. They could end up by default becoming the opposition party. Now, I don't know if that's entirely possible. I think, in my opinion, at the moment, it feels a bit too ambitious for them to do that. I still think the Conservatives will become the opposition party. I think that's a bit ambitious, but obviously polling can change, position can change, and maybe my position may change closer to the general election. Because while the Conservatives have had a bad start, doesn't mean to say that they will have a bad ending to this campaign as well. Because sometimes it's not always about how the campaign starts, it's about how the campaign finishes on as well. And that could be a factor. So, but obviously, they should obviously focus on targeting as many seats, many key seats as they possibly can. There are some people who have analysed and said that perhaps Lib Dems should be a bit more broader with their ambitions for their general election campaign. I don't think they need to, if I'm absolutely honest. I can understand some people saying that. I don't think they need to. I think that there are seats they know they can win, but there are some where it's just a bit too ambitious. I don't want them going anywhere near the levels of the likes of what Joe Swinson was saying back in 2019. Let's not, for them not to get ahead of themselves. When there's proportional representation, then they can make a case for it. But because we have a first past the post system, it's not ideal. It's not ambitious. The ambition, as much as it may sound like it, let's be realistic here. They know that if their best chance the Lib Dems of getting into power is to have some kind of coalition with the Labour Party if it ends up being a hung parliament, because they will have some sway. But obviously, we will wait and see. Obviously, as time progresses, as this election campaign continues, and I think that the Lib Dems and the Greens reform and other parties in other countries, there will be factors played without a shadow of a doubt in this general election, and we should try to keep an eye on them as best we possibly can. So let's read a bit into this, guys. So, Ed Davey has said the Liberal Democrats are not putting a ceiling on their ambitions as he launched the party's general election campaign. The party leader said the Lib Dems have been getting their best response from voters for a generation while out campaigning. This is I don't know obviously if he's saying that or not, but this is a very good if that is the case. He also accuses the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt and other Conservative MPs of taking their constituencies for granted as he spoke confidently about winning more seats on July the 4th. Jeremy Hunt is in big trouble in his constituency. The Lib Dems have really targeted his seat, and Jeremy Hunt knows that his seat is vulnerable to the Lib Dems. And I would like nothing more to see him get ousted there. I generally hope he gets ousted because he has caused so much damage as a Chancellor and as a Health Secretary during his time as a minister, Jeremy Hunt. So the sooner he gets kicked to the curb, the better for everyone. Davey unveils the Lib Dems' new battlebus named Yellowhammer 1 and was met with a large crowd of supporters at the launch in Whittlesford, Cambridgeshire on Sunday. He focused largely on health and the environment in a speech to supporters, including hospitals with dangerous crumbling roofs and sewage pouring into wards, and promised to introduce a 10-year-old rolling repair programme for the NHS estate. Yes, the sewage one, obviously, it's a gimme. Like, that, that's local issues. That is a local issue. You can easily win over voters by shouting about that as well. So I can definitely see that one winning over voters as well in key target seats. Asked what the Lib Dem targets were in the election, Davey told the PA News agency, "I'm not putting a ceiling on our ambitions. All I'm doing is talking to voters with my team across the country, and the Liberal Democrats are getting a great response, a better response than we've had for a generation. I was elected back in 1997, and this feels to me quite a bit like that. I don't worry about the other parties, I'm just excited about our job and excited about change." Lib Dems are targeting traditional Conservative heartlands in the Blue Wall in southern England. Buoyant by a series of by-elections and local election victories in the area, the party is eyeing up the constituencies of several cabinet ministers, including Hunt's. Now, again, I have said this, obviously, as I said, they are going to be targeting Conservative heartland seats. I think it's also very important that while they are eyeing up all these seats, we have to remember the factor of how's voting going to be in this time period as well, because some people are going to be on holiday. The voter ID is also going to play a factor into this as well. So that may be a difference maker in terms of whether Conservatives are able to hold on their seats against the Lib Dems or not, certain seats. I think that's really important to highlight as well. Asked about Hunt's Goal, Armine and Ash constituency, Davey said he was looking forward to that campaign because the party have heard from many lifelong Tory voters. People feel like Jeremy Hunt has let them down, taken them for granted. I'll assume that they'll always vote Conservative. The Tories and Labour both made eye-catching pledges over the weekend, with the former promising mandatory national service if re-elected, and the latter keen to allow 16 and 7-year-olds to vote. Asked about both policies, Davey said the Liberal Democrats have long supported the 16 from 16, and I'm glad other parties are now catching up with us. So Lib Dems are basically saying they're all in favour of younger people voting, which is which is good. Good. All I say is, as political reforms go, it's an important one, but a small one that needs to transform our politics. As for this distraction of a policy by the Conservatives on national service, their hypocrisy is just breathtaking. Excuse me. What we need is a full-time professional, highly trained troops. We've got the best army in the world, and we should be backing it. The party has previously pointed to local election results in May that suggested that it was making gains in a series of traditional Conservative constituencies. Lib Dem officials believe the result, in which the party performed well, proved their strategy of ruthlessness targeting Tory wards in the seats that they want to win is working. Now, I have not seen the full manifesto yet for the Lib Dems, but I'm sure when they are I will obviously have a look at it when it comes to it. But obviously, as they said, they're obviously the target of healthcare, obviously shouting about the environment. Because the thing is that while Labour have said they want to clean up the Environment Act and whatnot, they haven't said they want to take the water companies back into state hands, which is what a lot of people feel. Obviously, there's some people who generally don't care whether it's in the state hands or private hands. They just want to be able to have their water. And some people are not 100% confident that Labour will fulfil all their promises as well. And that's not to say that those same people have trust and faith in the Liberal Democrats. As I said at the start of the video, because of what happened in 2010, that trust has obviously been questioned. So it's about them winning back some of those voters, or winning over new voters, younger voters as well. So they obviously are avoiding the Brexit question, I think, is what they're going to do, and obviously try and focus on healthcare, trying to focus on the environment. Those are kind of stuff that will definitely win over some hearts and minds. And they have been doing very well in the local elections. They have done very well in the local elections, but obviously general election is something that obviously going to be a grander scale. So it's going to be fascinating to see how the Lib Dems campaign does. And at the time of this recording, I don't know if there's going to be a leadership debate involving the other parties. We know that Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are going to have a head-to-heads, but I would like to see ones involving all the main political parties. So Keir, Rishi Sunak, Ed Davey, Richard Tice, and the Greens. I think they have co-leaders. So Carla Denver, who one half of the co-Greens, have them all up on the in a debate. I think that's something they should have, because it's people will want to hear from the other parties. They will not just want to hear from Labour and the Conservatives. They want to hear from them, and then they should be given a TV debate with the other Prime Minister to showcase to make their case to the British public. But whether they will be allowed that is obviously another question. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the Lib Dems election campaign? What do you guys make of what Ed Davies is saying? What are you guys' thoughts on some of the analysis that I think that the Lib Democrats may do in this campaign. What are your thoughts in terms of seat numbers? What are you guys thinking? Yeah, do you think they're going to take a lot of seats? Do you think they're going to take a few seats? Are we looking at maybe 50, 80, maybe even more than that for the Lib Dems? Let me know what you generally think about the Liberal Democrats campaign and more in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble, Facebook, or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.